Hey, everybody, and welcome to the WHYBUT podcast. My name is Isaac. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, Nick. And Nick, over in the Discord, we have yet another viewer-submitted question. This time, Sin, spelled S-Y-N, has commented in the Discord. You can join by going to whybut.discord.co, by the way. There's a link in the show notes or in the description, depending on where you're watching. But Sin said, I came here to ask a very important question. And then he used the like spoiler feature where you can black out text. So the question was hidden until you clicked. And then when I clicked, Nick, it says, what have you been up to?
Wow, Sin! Asking the hard hitters. Wow. Where do I start, Isaac? I went out this morning.
Oh, yeah.
To get my morning coffee, as I do. Time approximately 8:45 a.m.
I thought you were going to give me a very specific time, approximately 8:42 a.m.
I think if you want me to be exact, I think it was 8:47. I think it was 8:47 because I usually check my phone as I'm leaving. Got my coffee, all was good. I was walking back. It takes a few minutes to walk back. And there was this guy in front of me with a backpack and earphones in, just kind of walk in, as people do. Fairly busy area, and kind of thought nothing of anything really until out of nowhere this guy has his earphones in, right? He just goes, and I had to really struggle not to piss myself because it was just so out of pocket, right?
Yeah.
This guy was in like a hoodie. He was probably about our age, right? He looks like he was in his mid-20s. Earphones in, kind of like, keeping to himself. And then I was just like, did that happen? And then out of nowhere again, he was like, he was like blasting out. It sounded like French.
Yeah.
It also sounded like complete mumbo jumbo. And it was amazing. He did it like 4 or 5 times. And I was like, wow, this guy did not seem like the type who was going to burst out into song. He was living his best life, man. It really put my day right. Set me up. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, some people are like that, man. I couldn't do it. I'm far too reserved of a person to start singing in public, but more power to him, man.
I don't think I could do it either, unless it was, like 11:47 p.m. instead of 8:47 a.m. And it wasn't coffee that I've been drinking.
Maybe he's not gone to bed yet. Maybe he's finishing up all late at night.
That's true. Maybe his change of clothes and stuff was in his backpack, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's what he was doing. But I came back. I've been quite energetic this morning, which is good because the last few mornings I've been quite tired. I've got a Tango, which I mentioned to Isaac earlier.
Odd drink choice. I feel like I ask Nick what he's drinking quite regularly whenever we jump on, and it's never Tango. Sometimes it's water, sometimes it's maybe a coffee, sometimes it's like maybe a Pepsi Max, but Tango is very rogue.
Do you want to have a guess, Isaac, why I've got a Tango?
I'm going to guess that you have ordered food from a delivery place and I don't know, maybe ordered a meal and Tango was the only canned drink they had, or you ordered something else and they didn't have it, so they sent you a can of Tango. That's my guess.
Yeah, bang on.
Yeah.
So I ordered a KFC. Right,
I was going to guess KFC.
Ages. Yeah, you should have got the details in.
Because they send cans. They don't. They if you go into the restaurant, they have fountain drinks. But if you order for delivery, they always send cans.
Correct. Dude, I've not had a KFC in so long. I think the last time I had a KFC was 4 months ago. And then before that, 4 months before that, which is good because I've been trying to avoid fast food as much as possible. But then it's also bad because I have just also been eating alternate non-junk food that isn't KFC. We've talked about this before. They do not serve cola, right? Like Pepsi or Coke, right?
So they serve Pepsi Max, right? But they don't serve
Pepsi Max wasn't even an option either.
Wow.
Yeah.
For my local KFC, they don't sell actual Pepsi. They've stopped selling normal Pepsi. But they sell Pepsi Max and they sell Tango.
Maybe they had run out then.
Yeah.
Right?
And
because I was.
Go on.
I was going to default to Pepsi Max, right? I was going to be like, okay, I'll order Pepsi Max. I'll have it the next time I do, a recording. All good. Not there, right? It was Tango, water, some other stuff that I can't remember. And yeah, I just picked Tango. I was like, you know what? Why not? It's the only sugary drink that they've got.
It's zero sugar, right?
This one has sugar. You see the little red.
It does have sugar.
On the label there. Yeah,
I thought
14 grams of sugar.
I thought Tango was sugar-free these days, but I guess not.
Maybe like Ice Blast is sugar-free? I have no idea.
Maybe.
I'm not a Tango aficionado.
I think they are these days. Like, I think the Ice Blast might be. But yeah, the KFC also have Lipton iced tea if you go in, which I always find odd. You can get peach Lipton if you go to KFC. Not a sponsor, by the way, but I always find that to be so rogue that they have that on tap. Like they have a dispensary for it, which is crazy.
No way. What's your thoughts on Lipton iced tea or iced tea generally? So
iced tea, I'm a fan. I like iced tea, right? Mm-hmm. And Lipton gets a bad rap as being garbage tea, but I actually quite like it. Like, I don't know if it's good tea, but it's like, it's sweet and it's refreshing and I like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I very much enjoy iced tea. Mm-hmm. I don't drink it often.
No.
Peach iced tea, great. I think lemon iced tea, good.
I like lemon and peach iced tea. I feel like, I don't know if there's actually a difference, but I feel like Europe does iced tea better than we do. There's not much iced tea here. Whenever I go to like Spain and I get iced tea, I don't know if it's just because when it's scorching hot outside and the iced tea is freezing cold, that it tastes like 1,000 times better than when you drink it here in the UK when the drink's cold and you're cold. But for whatever reason, whenever I go to I went to Lanzarote last year and you get an iced tea and it's so good, man. I loved it. Delicious.
Interesting. What brand was the iced tea in Lanzarote?
It was like,
can you remember?
I think it was, I went to a spa. I think it was their own brand of iced tea. It wasn't even like anything. I bought like a 1.25 litre bottle of Spa's own lemon iced tea. And man, it was so good. It was full of sugar, right? There's no sugar tax. So it was like sugar to the max. But it was like 80 cents. It was not expensive at all. But it was fantastic, man. I loved it.
That is very interesting because I was in Greece recently and they had Lipton iced tea. So we just bought like a pack of cans, right? Again, full of sugar, but they tasted great. And I was wondering, did it taste better in Greece? A, because of what you mentioned and it's hot, but also B, maybe because they were in cans and here we're used to drinking in bottles. But then you said you bought a bottle in Lanzarote,
I did.
Right?
Well, so I bought a bottle in Lanzarote and then I've also bought a bottle in Tenerife. In Tenerife, they had Nestea. Is like the name of the Nestea.
Is that like Nestle tea?
So it's made by the Coca-Cola company.
Okay.
But like I think it's a weird, it's a joint venture between the Coca-Cola company and Nestle. Yeah.
No way.
But if you type in Nestea, it's Nestea. Nestea, they also do iced tea, lemon iced tea, and I assume other flavors maybe. Real nice. I quite liked it actually. It was good.
No way.
I mean, it's it's very similar to other iced teas, but yeah, they had that one all over the place in Tenerife where I went, and that was very nice.
It's always very interesting, the foods and drinks you get internationally that you don't get in the UK. The one that the one that's always confused me is the fact that Lay's crisps are Walkers in the UK, and Lay's everywhere else. Like not even without fail, right? That's the thing. No matter where you go. Like I've not been outside of Europe, but no matter where you go in Europe, it's always Lay's, right? Yeah. Even outside of Europe, right? It's still Lay's, right? It's never Walkers. Was it trademarked in the UK? There's no way. Is that why it's Walkers here? There's no way. So for people listening who are outside of the UK who have never been to the UK, Lay's Crisps is branded Walkers in the UK for seemingly no reason, right? Like the same logo, but instead of where it says Lay's, it says Walkers, which is a much longer word than Lay's. Right? It's not like it's easier to say or anything. I'm wondering if like, I see here. The Walkers family sold the business in 1970 to American food producer Standard Brands. So I'm wondering if, I think Walkers was a pre-existing brand that Lay's owner, Walkers was acquired by Lay's owner, Frito-Lay, a division of PepsiCo. Oh, that was in 1989. So it looks like Walkers was a pre-existing crisp brand in the UK, purchased by Standard Brands, which is apparently a company that was founded by JP Morgan and Co. Of course it was. And then, of course it was. In 1989, it looks like Lay's
acquired it. Well, PepsiCo acquired it, and then Lay's the division of PepsiCo, and then it changed. So it looks like Walker's was just a pre-existing brand that they hijacked and like kind of just used for Lay's. It says in 2013 it held 56% of the British crisp market.
No way. Doesn't surprise me. But
I'd be surprised if that's not gone down a lot in the last 10 years.
Used to. Yeah, the crisp industry has kind of exploded, hasn't it? I'm a crisp fiend. I love crisps. I had crisps about an hour before now, before we came on.
See, I'm not a crisp fiend. I never buy crisps, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was like, "Hey, do you want like a couple of crisps here?" I'd be like, "Sure, fine, whatever." But I never really buy crisps for myself. But if I do, I never buy Walkers, right?
No, same. What do you buy?
So it depends on the mood, and it depends what I'm doing, right? Like sometimes I'll buy like just a bag of Doritos, like maybe twice a year.
Sure.
And that's about it. Sometimes somebody will recommend something, or I'll try something, and then maybe for like a week I'll go and I'll buy one like a 6-pack of a flavor, and I like those, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, that was fine. Like I think I talked previously on maybe on a stream about the Sun Bites. That I think actually are Walkers. I say it.
Yeah, they are.
Well, actually, is it like the Sun Bites company? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Sun Bites, those were nice. I bought those, but then I just stopped buying them. I don't eat crisps enough to warrant buying them regularly. And so I don't really, but maybe Doritos. But even then, that's rare. So yeah, that's my crisp setup.
Okay, interesting. So I have phases. I have phases where I force myself off the addiction of crisps, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going clean, and I won't buy them for like a month or 2 months. And then I'll get a bag once, and then boom, every week in my grocery shop I'm getting a bag. I am solely tied, or I have sole loyalty these days to Piper's crisps. I don't know if you ever tried Piper's crisps. They're quite expensive. They didn't used to be as expensive as they currently are because, of course, right? Of course, the price has gone up.
I've not tried these.
They are in quite a lot of big supermarkets.
I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah, so they do a beef flavor crisp and a chorizo flavored crisp as well. And those, I will rotate between those two. It started off when I was doing an internship a few years ago, and they had these crisps in the vending machine. So it'd be like, 11 a.m. I'd be like, okay, I could do with like a little tide over before I have lunch. And then I'd never heard of the Pipers before. And then I got a bag and I was like, wow, these are good. And then there was a big gap, and then it started appearing in my local Sainsbury's, and then I started buying them again. And I cannot wean myself off them. They're so good. Not a sponsor, but they are so good, honestly. The problem is though, man, is that sometimes I'll get them from the shops, and I will just I'll tear through an entire bag in one go. And I just feel grim afterwards. The latest one, the one that I finished off at 11 a.m. today, was a lot better. I bought them 2 days ago, and I've been having them. It's like the sharing bag, right?
Yeah. I've seen these at the supermarket, because the one that always stands out to me is jalapeno and dill. I've seen that as a flavor, and I'm like, I'm intrigued to try that. You don't like it?
Yeah, it's I wouldn't. They're not bad, but their dill is quite a strong taste, right?
Yeah, I'm not really a dill fan,
No, same. Neither.
Like if there's a little bit of it in like a fish dish, I'm usually like fine, but a lot of it, and I'm like, I don't like it, man.
Yeah, no. I'm not a massive fan either. It's basically spicy dill. That's how I can define the flavor of those crisps. So it's really strong dill flavor, but it's spicy, which is, I guess, the jalapeno bit, right? But I wouldn't say that they've got like a strong taste of jalapenos.
Right, it's just spicy.
Exactly. Like I know, funnily enough, I think Walkers do the jalapeno and cheese crisps, right? The Max.
Sure.
And those, if you have them, you do taste the jalapeno.
Like the pepperiness of the jalapenos almost.
That's it, exactly. But I wouldn't say the Piper's ones taste as good. But the beef ones and the chorizo ones are really good. But that's what I've been up to. Just a side thing that as I was getting on today, Isaac, I don't know if people can see it or how well they can see it, but my Nanoleaf lights here, these have just stopped responding. Like, I cannot turn these off, right? This is the power button I'm touching. Usually these are brighter and whiter, but it's just completely stopped responding to all input. I unplugged them just before I came on to see if I could get them to their regular brightness and color. Plug them in back to this. So that's
is there like an
job.
app that you can use, or is it just physical control?
So there is an app you can use. Let me tell you what it says when I open the app. It says unreachable. Your device is unreachable.
I just had the same kind of thing. So I use Philips Hue lights throughout my house, right? Like the lights you see behind me are Philips Hue bulbs, the Philips Hue like light strip here. And then I've got there's like spotlights in my office, the GU10 bulbs.
Yes,
they're all Philips Hue as well. And they're just like, they're not like the RGB ones. They just go different shades of white, right? They go from like the really blue white to the really warm white. And right now they're all turned off. But occasionally, it just like small smart home things, I guess, occasionally they'll just disconnect for some reason, right? And so the other day I came in, I turned my lights on, and instead of just coming on like they normally do, because I turned it on the switch, which is just the actual switch. Instead of doing what they normally do and just come on, they kind of flashed very aggressively, like 6 times. They were just like flash, 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 and then settled to like a default white that's not my default white, right? And so, and then when I press my button on my Stream Deck, which is supposed to turn them off to get the camera working and stuff, it just didn't work. Like they all stayed on, and I checked the app and they all say unreachable. I'm like, fine, and I've got to go through and like try and rescan to have the Hue system find them again, and it was a whole thing. They find them again, but it's such an odd situation. Like I don't know how that happens. I don't know what changes to where they're just like, we're gonna disconnect now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I do wonder that. I also have Philips Hue everywhere apart from there and there in my place. But I never turn off the switch.
The actual lights.
The actual lights. I've got a cover that actually goes over the switch. I see. Right? And then it's got like a little Philips Hue 3-button controller or 4-button controller.
So basically every other room apart from this room, I have the same 3-button controller, right? My living room has one just below the light switch. My dining room has one just below the light switch. I've got the little 3-button remote, so you can like dim, brighten, and then turn on and off. And so for basically every other room apart from this one, I don't turn the actual switch off. I just press the button and the lights go off, right? But this room is the only one that doesn't have it. It's the only one where I turn it off at the switch, and that's maybe something to do with it. Like maybe when they lose power for too long, then like when you turn back on, they're like, oh, we're not connected to anything, and they go back into setup mode or something. But I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, very interesting. I've been to people's places who have had LifeX bulbs, which are a competitor, I think, and I've seen them flash as well. Like there was one time a few years ago where I don't know why, but we were fixated on connecting this thing to the Wi-Fi. Like I think we wanted some mood lighting, right? And this was like the only like RGB bulb in the entire room. And then honestly, I think we spent an entire hour trying to get this bulb to connect. So we were in this like madness loop of it just flashing and then turning on and staying in some like harsh white color and then pulsing again and then staying at this harsh white color. I'm pretty sure we gave up after that. But I have seen that before. I've actually never seen Philips Hue bulbs flash. I think the only time I've ever seen mine flash is when my phone, the app finds one and then it flashes to tell me which one it's found, and then I'll name it and place it accordingly. But no, that is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's happened, like I've had these for years now, and it's happened maybe like 3 times, ever. But it's just one of those weird situations where I'm just like, okay. And I've got to go and, re-figure it out and reset it up. And sometimes you change something in the app and it's like, go touch your bridge. And my bridge is like, there's a chair in the corner of the room here. The bridge is down the back of that, right? So it's like right in the back corner. So I've got to lean over the chair, reach right down to the bottom and like press the button on the Hue bridge to let the Hue bridge know that I'm not an imposter. Like I actually do live here. And it's a whole thing.
I think I had to do that once. Maybe when I changed Wi-Fi router or something like that, right?
Sure, yeah.
So mine is behind the camera, but under a bed.
Right.
And it's like stuck up the bottom of the bed because it's got this bright blue light, right? So this room doubles as a spare bedroom. So whenever I have guests visiting, I didn't want this harsh blue light keeping them awake, right? So every time I've had to go and push it, I've had to climb under the desk that I'm sitting at now, move my printer out the way, which is also under this bed, and then like feel around for it, right, and then feel the button, and then be like click, and then get it to work. But again, luckily I haven't had to do that often either. But it is interesting how the system works, isn't it? I'm very glad that it uses that kind of hub and spoke kind of model to connect to everything rather than like just Wi-Fi. I think if everything was connected to Wi-Fi, it would be a laggy disaster.
Yeah, kind of getting in the way of your, like, making the signal weaker in other rooms and kind of like interfering with stuff in a little way. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it uses like a different frequency band, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's that's the thing. Whenever you try and invest in smart home stuff, because I also have like a you've got all electric radiators, right? But I've got gas radiators, and so I've got a company called Tado make like smart radiator attachments,
like the controls,
so,
right?
Yeah. So for those, I don't know how radiators work elsewhere in the world, but here in the UK, you've got like a little thing that either goes sideways on like this or like downwards like this, and you kind of just spin it. It usually goes like 0 to 5, 0 being off, and then 5 being max heat, right? And anywhere in between kind of changes the heat on the radiator. Basically, just controls like a valve that just how much it opens and closes, how much hot water can come into the radiator. 5, it's fully open, and 0, it's fully closed. And I've got like a smart one, right? So it's got a little temperature thing inside of it. It figures out the temperature in the room, and you can set it, and it just moves automatically. You just put batteries in, fine. But that's also got its own little hub stick thing that also has an Ethernet cable. So basically, behind this chair is a switch that's got 5 ports. Each of those ports is full. The whole thing's full, and there's like just little smart home doodads plugged in and connected up, and everything's just
nice.
There's just a nest of smart home connectors are all trying to connect to everything.
That is quite funny. My nest of cables is under so there's 2 desks. I got this desk and I've got the other desk, which the people watching can't see, but Isaac can just about see the end of. And then my gaming PC sits under this desk over here, and then you can kind of see one side of it,
right?
And then the other side of it faces the wall, but it's not flush against the wall. It's forward by probably about 0.5 meter, and behind it is the router and the entire nest of utter destruction. There's it's because there's 2 computers that connects via Ethernet. There's the Philips Hue system that's connects via Ethernet. And then I think my printer's also connects via Ethernet as well.
Sure.
So there's just a mess. It's all beautifully cable managed until you like peer your head over and look behind the computer, and then it's
always
just horrible.
Yeah.
And when I set it up, you know, you kind of cable manage, and then I saw the nest, and you just shove it, right? You just shove it until it's just about out of sight.
Yep.
And then you're like, yeah, okay, I'll deal with this whenever I need to deal with it if I move out in like 6 years' time, right? So yeah, I think that is like a globally accepted method of doing things for people who have got
too many wires.
Yeah, too many wires.
Too much
that is
to
true
connect
as well. There's a lot less as well than I used to have.
You've given me a memory unlock though, man. Freaking printers. This week. Oh, you know, people rag on printers, man, and I have honestly had pretty good luck with printers for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Until this week, right?
Ooh.
So, my mum calls me, right? And she's got a job interview. She's looking for a new job. Anyway, she's got a job interview. She needs to print out a document, right, of some persuasion. Some kind of, I think it was like a bill for proof of address or whatever. And I'm like, fine. Yeah, easy. I can help you print out a document, Mum. Don't worry about it. She's like, can I use your printer because my printer isn't working? And I'm like, sure, fine. So she comes over, and I was streaming at the time when she came over, right? And so she didn't, my girlfriend tries to go and print it. My printer doesn't print it. And so they go, my girlfriend and my mum go back to my mum's house. She doesn't live too far away. And they try and figure out her printer. I finish my stream. I go join them. I'm like, okay, let's get this fixed. So she's got this Epson printer, right? Now, she has no black... Oh, no, sorry. She has black ink, but the way the Epson printer works here... So I've got a HP printer, right? And my HP printer has 2 cartridges, color and black, right? Those are the 2 cartridges. My mum's printer has 4 cartridges. It has black,
right,
and then 3 separate ones for yellow, magenta, and cyan, right?
Yes. So,
my mum's printer is... She's got black... but she doesn't have like one of the colors. And so I'm thinking in my head, I know that some companies, when you go to print black and white, in a super sleazy fashion, they will throw a bit of cyan in there, supposedly to give it a darker, better black. But I feel like it's really just to con you into buying more ink. And so I check, and she's got no cyan. The cyan is completely empty. She's got yellow, she's got magenta. You go to the supermarket, it's £60. You can only buy a 3-pack of cyan, magenta, and yellow together, and maybe even black as well. So she didn't buy, so she went to the supermarket, but was like, I'm not paying 60 quid to print off one document. That's insane. I'll just call my son, right, and fix that. And my girlfriend's thinking, surely there's a way to just print with the black ink, like force it to print with just black.
Yeah.
We go, she can't do it. I spend like an hour sat there. I think there is no way to force this printer to print with just black ink.
Bloody hell.
We tried it from the phone. She's got the document on her phone and trying to print it. I'm like, okay, it's not working. Get your laptop out. You know, she's got an XPS 13, gets it out. I'm opening it up. I'm going into the settings. I'm like black and white only, quality for medium, just like everything to grayscale, black and white, no color, print. And then like this Epson thing pops up and it's like, there's like an Epson app that pops up and it's like, there's a button on it to buy ink. And I'm like, guys,
oh God.
And the printer shows that it's got loads of black ink and it just doesn't work. And I'm Googling it. I'm like, it's like some Epson printers have an emergency black print only mode. But it didn't work. I couldn't get it to work. And so I come back and in my printer, I have no color ink. There's no color cartridge in there, but I have black ink, right? Now my printer is older, and my printer doesn't have this problem. I can print with just black ink. But I've not used my printer in like a year and a half because like who prints, right? I don't print anything. I have no need to print anything. So I go to print this document off, print it off, and there's like, hold on just a second.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, so I go to print, and I get something that looks like this that comes out.
Oh,
there's a tiniest little bit of ink here.
Yeah.
And nothing else. So I'm like, okay, something's up here. So I check. I click on ink, and it shows the black ink bar as being 3/4 full, right? Because in my head, I'm pretty sure the last time I went to print something, which was like less than a year ago, or maybe about a year ago, I bought new black ink, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so I'm like, I know this is new. It should work. And it worked at the time. And so I try again. Different sheet. Same tiny little nothingness.
Same thing, yeah, look at that. Yeah,
and so then I spend hours printing off nothing.
Oh my God.
I go through like 50 sheets. The printer's got like diagnostic modes. It's like realign print head, clean cartridge. I'm doing all the things. There's like a clean cartridge option that goes through 4 different levels. You press it once, it starts going, and then at the end of it, it goes, you know, check the piece of paper. If it's good, then continue on. If it's press cancel. If it's bad, then go to stage 2. Stage 2 could take a couple of minutes. Okay, stage 2. And a few minutes later, another blank sheet comes out. If the sheet's still not to your satisfaction, go to stage 3. There's like 5 stages to this cleaning. At the end, it's still not fixed. And like, I didn't get it printed. I couldn't get it printed for her. I have like 80 almost empty sheets of paper here. This is the best I got, is just this.
Dear.
This was like this is a diagnostic test, by the way, for the printer, and it's nothing. And these are all sheets of paper that have been partially printed on, and it just doesn't work. And I'm like, so it's nothing to do with like the software of the printer, but I feel like it's just like it's not pressing the ink down or something. Like I don't know how the printer works, but it's I was pulling my hair out. Like I spent hours and hours trying to get 2 different printers to print off just one black and white document. And I couldn't do it.
Yeah, this is I ditched inkjet printers like 7 years ago because I'd gone through at school, I want to say like 3 or 4 within the space of 7 years, because all of them just have issues, right? They all just fail. They sell you them cheap and they sell you the ink for a high price. Right? Yeah. It's the way they do it. And I think I bought this one printer, inkjet, and I think that was the final one because I bought it and like 1 month in, it started having problems. Like you had like frayed lines between all of like the text and stuff. And I was like, right, I can't be bothered. So when I moved to uni, I bought a laser printer, right? I just bought a black and white one
Right.
And thankfully, those seem to be, in my experience, way more reliable, and the toner lasts for bloody ages. Right? I think mine's been in for like. So I got it in 2017, and then I bought a 2-pack replacement. Right, and toner is more expensive than ink, but it tends to last longer. Quite a number more pages, like a few times. I've replaced it once. The other one is still in a drawer. I can't say I print that often, but it's one of those kind of situations where you buy it and you just kind of know that it'll work, right? The downside, obviously, is that color laser printers are way more expensive. And if you're printing color a lot, then they're not really viable. But honestly, these days, I don't find myself needing color printers, even for things like boarding passes for flights and stuff. Black and white, you can get away with it quite easily. So, and I think my family had a laser printer that they got in 2007. I think that died like 2 years ago, and then they just got the latest version of that, and it seems to be okay.
I was gonna say, to give my printer credit, my printer is over 10 years old. It's a very old printer, the one that I have, right? Like I've had it. I had it before I started making YouTube videos. It's way before 2013, right? It's a really old HP printer, but it up until like last year, it was working just fine at printing like the one document a year that I needed to print out.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing, right?
But I'm more annoyed at Epson. The fact that you cannot print a black and white document with black ink, you need cyan, is crazy. It's so stupid.
That is awful. That is really bad.
And that's a fairly new printer. My mum bought that like a year or so ago. Like,
jeez.
That's crazy. Actually crazy.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember if I'm hallucinating or not, but I do remember there being some kind of, maybe I just saw it on Twitter, right? So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. They were explaining how with some printer manufacturers, it's actually cheaper overall to buy a new printer and then use the free ink that comes with the printer and then buy another new printer instead of buying replacement ink.
That sounds about right.
Horrible. It's so wasteful.
I feel like I paid like 50 quid for this printer, back before 2013 or something. It was the point on sale when I bought it. But then like to buy new ink, I think the black ink is like 27 quid and then the color ink is like 27 quid. So the 2 packs of ink together probably do cost more than what I paid for the printer, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. The thing is that I guess a lot of people don't actually want printer graveyards either, so that's probably a issue with
just collect them.
Collecting them, yeah, exactly. Unless there's some kind of like we buy any printer service, right? That'll give you like a tenner back for every printer. But I have a feeling that's not the case.
I don't think so, right?
Even though I guess they are working.
Yeah, I do wonder if you could turn a small profit selling them on like eBay or something. If there's enough people out there who want printers, like maybe.
Yeah, right.
But I feel like no one's printing these days, really. Like,
not really. I mean, I genuinely wonder if with the amount, let's say in our use cases, with the amount we print, if it's genuinely cheaper to just go to like a printing service whenever 100%. We need something printed.
Like
easily,
you can go to like the library or something, right? And just get it printed, I think. And like, definitely. I think that is less headache and more beneficial than trying to sustain your own printer, right?
Yeah. I remember when I was at school, I used the school printers whenever I needed to print something that was personal. Same at university. I used the university printers whenever I needed to print something personal. I think when I was working at the company I worked for, where I'd go into an office, I think just anything I needed to print could be done on the laser printer I then had, right? Yeah. So I didn't really need to print anything off there. But I did use their shredders because I don't have a shredder. Because they have these like industrial shredders, right? They're like the size of a fridge, and it's like
the cross shredding as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're like you can put a book in it, and it will shred it for you. And I was like, this is perfect. So my wad of like mail, right, that I didn't need anymore, I just like feed it into the abyss, basically.
I think I've got like the printer I've got is so the shredder I've got is so old. It might be over 20 years old. It's crazy. It's,
nice.
It's white like plastic. It's the color of those old computers that have the massive deep screens. And it's got like a top that comes off. But it's terrible. If you try and put in like 2 sheets of paper, it's like it can't do it. So you put like 1 sheet in, and it just cuts it horizontally, vertically, into like 8 strips. And like,
nice.
For anything sensitive, it's useless. Right? You can very easily just reattach and like put together the document. So yeah, it's not really too useful, but but I don't find myself shredding stuff, to be fair, right? I don't shred too much.
I don't shred much at all. The only thing I shred is mail that's addressed to me that I do not need, pretty much, and then the odd old bank card, right? If I need to, but most of the time I just go to my parents' house and do it. But the amount of times where I've jammed their shredder because I just get a little bit too overconfident and think I can put an entire like sealed letter in there, and it's like it goes, ooh, and then like 80% through it will stop, and it'll be like, and I'll be like, no, please, and then I'll put it in reverse mode, right, to unjam it, but then it will still be like, and I'll be like there tugging it as hard as I can, trying to rip this thing out. And then I end up, and then sometimes it just cuts because it overheats. And then I have to like take the shredding component off and then like try and rip out all these individual little pieces to try and unjam it and then put it back in. And then you get that sigh of relief moment when finally it just goes and then it spits it back out at you. But no shredders, man.
I've got a very primitive way of getting rid of my bank cards. Like I get a pair of scissors and I just cut it into very small pieces.
Yeah,
and then put it in the bin.
It's probably just as effective, right?
My shredder would not be able to shred a bank card. Like it's too thick. It's so old. It's so feeble. It can't do it, man.
Oh dear, that's quite funny.
Speaking of old things, though, man, I have a question for you. Do you have an analog clock, like a physical clock that tells the time with hands, anywhere in your apartment?
I do. I have one. It came with the apartment. It's quite nice, actually. It's like a. It definitely wasn't owned by me. I wouldn't buy any analog clocks. I wouldn't do such a blasphemous thing. It's like a rectangular shaped one, made of glass, and then it's got a little clock face at the top, and then like a little pendulum that swings. So
I've got a question for you then, Nick, and I think I know the answer to this. But like, how are you at reading analog clocks?
I'd like to say I'm quite good. Probably not as good as I used to be.
But like, if you look at an analog clock, I assume that you can instinctively tell the time.
Yeah.
Which is a skill that is on the decline, apparently. Which is not surprising because obviously, like, who needs an we have digital clocks in our pockets all the time, right? People don't read analog clocks. Which is kind of crazy, but it makes sense, right? People just don't. It's not a skill that is as useful. Up until like a week ago, man, I had no analog clocks in this house. Like since I bought this house, there has been no. Like, I've not had any analog clocks in it. I bought one, though, and I put it in the kitchen. And, like, it's quite nice. I missed it, you know? I like the ability to not have to get my phone out when I'm wanting to know the time. Up until now, I just, if I was, like, cooking or something and my hands were dirty, I don't want to get my phone, I would just ask my smart speaker. I'd be like, hey, what's the time? And they'd tell me. But it's quicker and easier just to look at the hands on the wall, right? And be like, oh, it's 10 to 7 or 6:50. And like I quite like it, man. I'm contemplating getting a second one for my bathroom, you know.
Dude, I quite like my analog clock as well. It is quite sweet. I especially like the little pendulum as well. It's more of an aesthetic thing because I think when I'm in my living room, I actually instinctively look over to where the oven is and look at the oven's the clock on the oven. I think that is the way that I read the time in my living room.
See, I live a very chaotic life, Nick.
Right.
None of my kitchen appliances say the right time. Like I've never gone to the effort of setting them correctly. So I have like a microwave that just says something. I have no idea. I have an oven that just says something. Like I've never used these as time-telling devices. Right. And so they all just have rogue random times on them, and they're never useful.
Yeah, I see. For me, the oven's the only thing that has that, apart from like a digital clock in my bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, when daylight savings time hits, which it is in a few weeks actually, I do not change any of the clocks for like 2 months. And I'll just, add or subtract an hour in my head. And I get berated for it. The problem is, okay, the digital clock in my bedroom, easy to change, right? Yep. It's like 2 button presses. The oven is, you have to turn the oven off at the main switch, turn it back on, and then there's this like magic combination of buttons you have to press instinctively. So it flashes 0000, right? And it just keeps flashing 0000. There's a little knob on the oven and some plus and minus buttons that you usually set the cooking time with, right? Temperature controls are on separate dials. So you instinctively go and you turn the knob up, right, to set the time. Nothing happens. You then instinctively press the plus button on the oven to instinctively, again, that might be an alternative way that you set the time. Nothing happens. You then have to try every combination of 2 buttons, right? So button 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, and then 3 and 4. I go through the entire cycle, nothing works. And then I'll do it again, and one of the combinations work, right? And then it will go dink, and then suddenly I can set this short period of time where you can turn the dial to set the time right. But if you wait too long, it sets the time at midnight and you have to turn the oven off at the mains again, right? So it's awful. It's absolutely terrible. But here's the kicker, man. The oven doesn't turn on unless you set the time.
Nice.
So again, the ovens, these controls are separate to the 2 dials where you set the type of like ovening you want. So, you know, top heat, bottom heat, fan, grill, whatever, and the temperature. Right? Those are separate dials. But those separate dials are completely useless unless you find the cheat code to set the time and then set the time, right? So when I moved in here, we actually thought the oven was broken because we couldn't turn it on and we couldn't set the time because we had no idea how to do it. We actually ended up having a guy come out and be like, and he was like twisting the dials and he was like, okay, and then he opened it and had a look, and then he did the cheat code button combination and got it, and then he turned the oven on, and we looked so stupid when he did that. We were like, oh.
I don't know what it is with ovens, man. So I don't. All I do for my oven, right? I've got a combination like gas hob oven, right? It's like a fairly big range oven, right? It's got like 2 separate oven compartments. All I do is like turn the oven. Basically, there's a couple of knobs. There's some knobs for the hobs on the top, right? The gas hob rings, and then there's a few knobs for the ovens that are just temperature knobs, right? That's it, right? There's no like fancy top, bottom, anything like that. It's just oven temperature, right? Yeah. And then it's like a separate grill thing at the top. Anyway, that's all I need to do. But for some reason, it's got like 7 buttons at the side, right, under the screen. I do not know what any of these buttons do, and the oven is old enough at this point that the like print on the oven is faded, so there's no indication as to what the buttons do.
Right, yeah.
Every now and again, I assume my oven has an alarm system where you can set a timer for what you're cooking. I have no idea how this works. Occasionally, maybe like once a month, my oven will start beeping. My go-to response is to just mash all of the buttons, all 7 of them, on the front of the oven until it stops beeping, and then I go about my cooking. And that's my process. But the thing is, because when it starts beeping, it also turns the oven off. It's like, oh, your timer's done, we're going to turn the oven off. And usually it'll be like, it'll happen at the worst time. I'll be cooking like something that takes like 8 hours to cook. And I'll have to go and press all the buttons to make it stop. And sometimes I press all the buttons in such a way that's wrong, because then like 15 minutes later, it'll beep again, because clearly all I've done is set another timer for 15 minutes somehow. But eventually, you know, enough buttons smashing and it stops. And so that's my that's my way of dealing with my oven.
No, it's pretty rough, isn't it? I've seen some ovens as well where the dials are flush with the front,
right,
and you push them to pop them out. But for seemingly no reason, because once you set your appropriate temperature and setting, you don't have to push them back in. Right? To set it. It's just purely aesthetic, right? I've also seen ovens at IKEA recently, which have the same flush dials, but you push out one of the flush dials and it just opens up and there's a hole in it.
Right.
And this is supposedly for you to pour water in so it can steam the food, which is a feature that is quite bizarre, I think.
The whole push-in thing just seems like an extra mechanism for failure. Right,
exactly.
It seems like an extra place for the oven to break. I want like as few moving parts as possible on my oven.
Yeah, right, exactly.
For 90% of what I do, if there was just a button that was just like you press it and it set the oven to 180, that's all I need. Right?
Yeah,
I don't
right.
like 95% of what I cook is cooked at 180C, which is like 350F. I want to say. Like
that sounds right. Yeah,
I don't cook at any other temperatures really, right?
Yeah, I'm fairly similar. It does also give me comfort in that I use my air fryer all the time, and that is literally temperature, time, go, right? No, nothing else. It's just temperature, time, go. The other thing that gives me quite a lot of comfort in terms of like, the simple things of life is my microwave, right? Because microwaves are a whole kind of worms as well. My microwave is one of those really old ones that just has 2 dials. One of them is your wattage and the other one is time, right? And you just twist it to approximately the correct time. It's not accurate. And then it will ding after a set amount of time. I think I still kind of guess if it's 2 minutes because the dial goes a little bit past 0 before it dings. So I kind of have to like take off 10% to what the actual time of the dial says. But man, microwaves, I don't know who's in charge of microwave UI, but they're always chaotic. So
I think it's the same person who's in charge of modern TV remotes as well.
Yeah, probably, probably, right?
It's like there's like 2 buttons you need in a TV remote, and for some reason there are hundreds of buttons on a TV remote. I don't get it. I really don't get it. The one thing I love the most about my Apple TV is that it's got like only the buttons it needs, right?
Yeah.
It's got play, pause, it's got mute, it's got back, and it's got the little D-pad. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah. So it's not got, like scan source, TXTR, the Netflix button that doesn't work.
Yeah.
1 through 9, up and down, and then up and down again for something else.
It'll say
not
Prime,
channel.
Roku, just in case you have that.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's obviously a 1 to 9. A 1 to 9 and then 0 numpad at the top for some reason for numbers. I don't know when the last time I ever typed a number in on my TV. Yeah. And then it'll have the 4 colors, green, red, yellow, blue for some reason. Those are just there. I'm not quite sure why. It makes no sense. My microwave, Nick, is terrible. Again, all I need to be able to do is set the time. Mine doesn't have a dial that I can use for time. Mine's got 3 buttons. Mine's got a 10-second increment, a 1-minute increment, and a 10-minute increment. So that's all I can do, right? I have to do it in either 10-minute, 1-minute, or 10-second incrents, right? And I've got to be like, if I want to set 2.5 minutes, I go 1 minute, 1 minute, 10, 10, 10, start, right? And it's just, I'm like, why? Why is it like this?
Oh my God. If you just push the start button without doing anything, does it start for 30 seconds?
Oh.
A lot of microwaves do that these days,
Give me
which is some solace. Okay, go for it.
I'm also going to take a photo with a microwave.
Okay.
So the answer is no. If I press the button, it does nothing.
Right. Okay.
If I press the power button, it just goes beep. But there's a button on here that says quick 30. When I press that, it sets it to 30 seconds, but then I still have to press the go button.
Right.
For it to go. I'm going to send you a photo right now of my
let's have a look.
Of this microwave, Nick.
I think my parents used to have a microwave like this, and it was quite rogue.
Look at this.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It's full of so much stuff, and the buttons are not like nice buttons to press. They're like basically non-existent.
You have to shove them in for it to do anything. Oh no!
It says micro power, quick 30, timer clock, and then there's 3 settings for auto defrost, auto reheat, and auto cook. Under auto reheat, it says curry Chinese pasta. Those are the 3 options for auto reheat.
You're not allowed to reheat any other type of food. All right.
And then auto defrost has got bread, meat items, and meat joints. There's no defrosting anything else. It's not those 3.
Yeah.
And then auto cook, it's got jacket potatoes, fresh vegetables, and fresh fish.
Bloody hell.
Those are the only things you can cook.
Isn't it? You're not allowed to cook anything else. It's
terrible. Could you imagine cooking fish in the microwave?
Oh no. At least it would do it automatically if you did. At least it would be automatic.
Anyway,
that's pretty nasty. My parents have just thrown out an old microwave. They had a Samsung one. You had to push a button with a hand on it twice. Only then would the dial to set the time work. And then you had to push the start button. Right. If you wanted to do anything, you had to... So there was this if you wanted to go through a process of functions, between every step, you have to push this rogue button with a hand on it. So you'd push the rogue button with the hand on it, and then you had to go through setting the wattage. You then had to press the button with the hand on it and then set the time, and then you had to press go. The other one was you had to push the button with the hand on it to then go to the set the clock menu, and then you set the hour, then you push the button with the hand on it, and then you set the minute, and you push the button with the hand on it, and then you set 12 or 24 hours, and then you push the button with the hand on it. So it was like this weird button that was like used for everything, which is okay, but it was just a small like button without an obvious function, right? This is like where you have to read the manual.
Yeah.
The easiest microwave I've ever used, which is what I told my parents to get as a replacement, is still weird because it's got a big dial that you use to set the time, but you can't just hold the dial and turn it forward, right? To set the time and then press go. If you hold the dial and push it forward or rotate it forward, it goes to like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, because these are like auto cook modes, right? So the first few days after we got this microwave, my mum was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Turns out you have to click the dial back by 1 tick and then rotate it forward if you wanted to set the time, and then just use it as a normal microwave, which is bizarre because, you know, surely it should be the other way around, right? You're just setting the time on a microwave and hitting go a lot more often than you are setting auto cooks. Luckily, this microwave does have the 30. If you just push the start button, it goes for 30 seconds. Then you can keep pushing it to add 30 seconds. But like, let's just, even digital microwaves, just put a dial on it and then just
I don't understand.
Time, right?
I do not understand why they're so complicated, right?
No.
Like, I have never in my life used any of the 9 or like half of the, there's like so basically there's the whole door, right? And then there's like a section like this at the side of the microwave, right? At the top, there's a little digital screen that shows the time you're going to set it for. Yeah. And then underneath that, there are 6 buttons relating to like setting time and stuff. And then there's like beneath that, there's a pretty big section that takes up half of the vertical space that's for auto defrost, auto reheat, auto cook. I've never used any of those buttons.
No, neither.
If I'm going to reheat something, I just put it in the microwave for a set period of time. I never go for, I don't put my Chinese food in and click auto reheat Chinese or auto reheat pasta or auto reheat curry. I don't know I don't get it. I feel like all there needs to be is a dial. Like, I also never changed the power of my microwave, right? I leave it at the power that it's at, which I think is like 900 watts, right?
Yeah.
So, and I just, because whenever you look at food, it'll always give you the times in like 650, 750, 850 watts or whatever. Yeah. And so I just pick one. All I need, you put it in. I would prefer a dial because trying to press 4 different buttons to get to 7.5 minutes or whatever. Put it in, turn a dial, go. And then a button to open the microwave, right? I need 2 buttons and 1 dial. That's all I need, and a little screen. I don't know why there is so much complexity. Like, I just want a simple microwave. I don't really use mine that often. Like, I kind of just use it for like if I have something with like tortillas and they say heat it up, you know, I'll throw it in the microwave for like 10 seconds to reheat it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't cook or eat much out of the microwave. But like, I don't know why they need to be so complex. I don't know what the deal is. Like, who thought that this was a sensible, way of going about things?
The only explanation I have is they bake in all these complicated features just so that when people are shopping for microwaves, they can say it's got 50,000 features. It's 30 in 1. It can massage your food while it microwaves it. You know what I mean?
But I think it's a mistake. I think the only thing that matters, and the only thing that I would care about when it comes to buying a new microwave, the price and how it looks, right? And I would prefer a sleeker microwave that didn't have 84 buttons and way too much text on it. I would prefer almost no text. If it was just a dial and 2 buttons, I'd be fine with it, right? Right, maybe a tiny little power icon or whatever, and a tiny little eject icon on the 2 buttons. I would prefer a sleek microwave, and I would pay the same price as however much this microwave costs that I've got right here, if it was just cleaner, right? And if it just looked nice. Because my microwave, I don't think it looks nice. I think it's just a microwave, right? But I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like they've not caught up, because I feel like in the modern day, I feel like there was a time when everything tried to go that way, where like the sales strategy was to be like as functional as possible. Whereas I feel like now we've kind of crested that, and you know, we've gone kind of the Apple way, where it's less about more functionality and it's more about streamlined,
Complete
sleek design, looking
right?
good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You see a lot more like fridges that are just like sleek. You see like dishwashers or whatever, and washing machines and stuff that are all just minimal. Right. They get the job done, and I think that's such a better way of going about it than whoever created this microwave. I just don't understand. I don't understand.
Yo, where's the Wi-Fi touchscreen microwave, man? Where's that at? Doesn't exist. I tried looking, Isaac.
Yeah, there should be a way to control your microwave with your phone. There should be like a smart microwave. There must be that lets you.
I don't think I can find one. I imagine I have heard that all microwaves
are
manufactured by the same company, right?
Yeah, I've also heard this.
Yeah,
but I think that only accounts for like the actual microwave element.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, surely
that's what I thought too.
But like, there must be a way that I can like have a thing on my phone that tells me how long's left on the microwave. And even better would be a way to stop the beep, 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 like when it's finished, the 40 minutes of beeping. If I could do that on my phone as well, that would be fantastic. If there was like a mute button, like I understand I'm coming, right? But microwaves,
terrible. I don't know, I've seen Wi-Fi connected ovens and washing machines and all that stuff.
I wonder if it's something to do with the microwave signals, like the microwave waves.
Maybe, yes, because it is a known kind of fact that when the microwave's on, your Wi-Fi signals can drop, right? So maybe you're onto something there. Maybe you're right.
Yeah. They put like a Wi-Fi chip right next to the microwave emitter, and it's just like it just doesn't work at all.
maybe this was attempted and it kind of stopped at the R&D phase because they realized that wouldn't be viable. Yeah, I think that could be it.
Yeah, that would make sense. Like you look and it doesn't give you a time at all. It's just scrambled. It jumps from 1 minute to 8 minutes to 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Just loads of delay. The one that I would be privy to is the Wi-Fi washing machines, because the amount of times where I put the washing in and forget is ridiculous. And so I have a process now. As soon as I put laundry in the washing machine and turn it on, I set a Apple Assistant reminder with my voice. I know I can't even say it now because it will react without even saying hey. But yeah, I have set a reminder for myself to take it out. Otherwise, it stays in there all day and gets smelly, and then I have to put it in again. Home appliances, man.
You've reminded me, man, yesterday, as a final note here, you mentioned like forgetting about stuff. I went to go cook some turkey bacon yesterday morning, man. Took the turkey bacon out of the packet, and I've got like so above my oven, but below the hob section is just like a little grill section, right? So there's a thing that comes out, and there's just like a grill. And so take the turkey bacon out, put it on the grill tray, like it's like a thing that comes out like this, and I can hold it, right? Like a big wide rectangular grill.
Yeah.
And so I take it out, put it on top of the oven, put the turkey bacon on, turn the grill on, and in my head, I put the turkey in. So I go to my office and I spend like 10 minutes doing whatever I'm doing in here, and I go back in and I've just left the turkey bacon on top of the oven. Like I've not even put it in, not even started to cook it, and I'm like, fine, okay. So I put it back in and I walk away again. I come back to my office and I'm doing something, and then like what I think has been like 8 minutes later or something, I'm like, okay, I'll go back and I'll check on it. I go check on it. This stuff is almost black. Like I have I have cooked it way too far, man. But the turkey bacon rashers that I buy, Nick, have recently been afflicted by shrinkflation. The packet is now 6 rashers is what you get in a packet now instead of 8.
Oh my god.
And so I was like, I have to eat these, and I ate basically almost burnt turkey bacon because I didn't want to use all my. They're like you get 6 rashers for £2, and I'm like, it's not cheap. I'm like, and so I just ate it. I ate my turkey. I ate my almost burnt turkey bacon. That was like yesterday morning, man.
I did the exact same thing yesterday, but what I did was I heated a pan of water, put some green beans in, came here to do some work. Same thing, completely overshot the timing because I kind of got stuck into whatever I was doing. Went back to the kitchen, though all of the water had evaporated and the beans had burned themselves onto the pan like they were black. And I was like, oh no. So I just ditched them. I couldn't be bothered to reheat any more beans. I just had fish cakes on their own, Isaac, with no sides.
The fact that you managed to boil a full pot of water to nothing.
Yeah. I was quite impressed with myself.
That's great. I think for me, it's because I'd done the fact that I'd left them out, the grill got so hot that I think I left it for like what would normally be a good period of time.
Right.
But normally I don't do any kind of preheating. I just put them in. And like there's the preheating stage and the cooking stage. This time it was just all max heat all the time. And it was too much.
Set timers, people. Set timers.
Set timers. Oh, Nick, unfortunately, that is all we have time for this episode of the WHYBUT podcast. If you're wondering, listening to this, hey, this seems shorter than usual, that's because it is. We're switching it up to a shorter schedule, but a more frequent schedule. And so we will be back very shortly with another episode of the WHYBUT podcast for you to enjoy through your audio canals. For now, though, thank you for listening. If you'd like, you can join the Discord, as I mentioned at the beginning. That's that's discord.whybut.co. I'll get the URL right one of these days, Nick. Links are in the description or the show notes down below. Follow us across all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, x.com, which is such a ridiculous name, by the way, but x.com, Instagram, etc. We're on all the platforms. And subscribe to the YouTube channel as well if you haven't done so already. And then you can also listen on your favorite podcasting platform, and you can review the podcast as well. If you're going to leave a 5-star review, that'd be very much appreciated. For now, though, thank you for listening, and we'll let you know what we've been up to next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.